Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's XAUUSD live forex market review. All right, so let's get into it. If you could all read through this disclaimer, if you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see your chat, but if you want to join us, just follow the link that I've given you there in the chat. You can come and join us in the webinar. So everybody, please read through the risk disclaimer. While you're reading through, we obviously had the US CPI data last night, which was US dollar weakness at the start, but no longer. So we're definitely getting a bit of a reversal at the moment. Is the market topping out? Compares to the US dollar, is the US dollar bottoming? Got a little bit of a sniff about it. All right, just let you read through the disclaimer before we move along. Right, let's move along. So if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm a senior market strategist and trading mentor here at ACY Securities, and I am a full-time trader. Been trading the forex market now for more than 15 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can follow me on our website, acy.com market news time. You'll get my analysis there. On our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, and you can connect with me personally if you wish on Twitter and LinkedIn on those handles. And through the week in our Telegram channel, posting analysis through the week in there. You can contact nathan.bray to get access. Posting the levels that I'm watching for the market to be moving up from, down from. And it's been quite a successful week this week. You've been following the levels that I've been talking about. Price has definitely been holding to the levels. So just contact Nathan if you want to get access to the Telegram, if you want to get access to the chart lists and templates in my MT4 that I use in the webinar. If you want to set up a demo account to trade demo-wise, or if you want to set up a live account, you can also speak to him about that. So his details are in the chat just there. Oh, if you've got any questions about trading, contact Nathan. He's always open for a chat. Okay. Excuse me. And just to give you a heads up, next Wednesday, the 17th at 8 o'clock, we got the Inner Circle webinar, which generally is just open to account holders. A select few can come on the mic and talk to me, and we can talk about your trading and anything to do with trading that you might want to talk to me about. And sometimes me and Nathan and whoever's talking are having a three-way chat. But anybody in the webinar on Wednesday from the 7 o'clock webinar will be invited along to come along and attend as well. So we'll be talking about trading, probably talking about the current market, fielding questions, have people on the mic talking to me. So if you'd like to get on the mic, you need to speak to Nathan. But other than that, if you're in the webinar next Wednesday at 7, then you can move along to the 8 o'clock webinar. So that's what's coming up as well. All right, let's get into the news items for today into tomorrow. First risk item is the UK interest rate decision at 9 p.m, expecting 25 basis point rise there. I guess the market will be looking at this, the voted. How many people vote for the hike? Is it as forecast, seven voting, 2 abstaining from raising interest rates? So we will see. Expecting no 25 basis point rise there. 9:30 p.m. there's a conference where the Bank of England governor talks. 10:30 p.m. for the US tonight, we got the core PPI data. That probably won't do too much, I don't think, because it's probably all forecasting, expecting maybe a similar figures results as to last night's CPI data, but you never know. That is definitely a risk item coming out as well. And then tomorrow we've got inflation expectations for New Zealand, 1 p.m, and GDP figures for the pound, 4 p.m, and on the midnight to Saturday, US prelim UOM consumer sentiment. Okay, so those are the items of risk coming out. Predominantly tonight, of course, interest rates for the UK and US core PPI data and PPI data there. All right, and unemployment claims, I didn't mention that one. So those are the items coming out, so be aware. All right, let's get into a quick look at the dollar index. It's most definitely moving up. It's been at 1, 2, 3, 5 weeks. We've been down on this weekly support. Still, you know, we're not at the end of the week yet, so we could, I guess, we could still move back down and retest support once more. But day chart, there's a definite bottoming out process going on here potentially. Now we've got higher bottom, equal bottoms along here. All right, and for our trend here, structurally starting to move up. So unless some data comes out that's just shocking, if it's anything US dollar positive, we're probably going to break the high of last week, which is right at 102.35. All right, so maybe getting a bottoming out process. If we are getting a bottom out process here, you know, have an expectation maybe. It's worth starting to get your expectation together now that if we do move up to a new high this week, you know, we could be moving up to the top of the range. And a lot of pairs, a number of pairs are moved to the top of the range. Are they topping out to move back down to the bottom of the range? All right, so maybe it's time to get set to trade the other way. Trading up there, the dollar from the bottom of the range to the top, that would coincide with what we're seeing on the dollar CAD, and the inverse there that we're seeing most definitely on the Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar. All right, S&P 500, still very much up at these weekly tops here at the moment. It's not giving a breakdown yet. Did touch the 79% retracement of that weekly, that daily range there. Is it topping out up there or not? I'm not trading the S&P 500, but it's not easy going at the moment. It's very range bound. If I was trading it, I would probably look for another test of these highs and failure. All right, or at least in the test of 79 level there, and then does it fail? All right, so a bit mixed on the S&P 500 there. Is it uptrend, downtrend? It is holding those weekly highs, that whole area that I've colored in at the moment. All right, let's head into the pound pairs first of all, as we've got the interest rate decision. Now, what I'm noticing, even though the day trend is just starting maybe to tip down, we are breaking below today a minor bottom, and we are trying to maybe break below this top two. Over the last 3 days, we've had a rejection, got support on support, another rejection on the US CPI news yesterday. That rejection's coming from both a monthly line of resistance here, 126.61, and a weekly high here, 126.67. Now, this is an uptrend on the weekly, but it's been changing trend. I mean, we had a double top trend turn down, and then it swung to up. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this swing to down if it really wants to. So yes, the weekly's up, but it's at a notable level of resistance formed during last year's decline. I mean, we could top out there. We'll just have to wait and see. Notably, if you need the webinars, I've been discussing that's last year's range. We were holding at 62 level for quite a while, but we've popped above. You know, if we move back below over the next week or two, we move back below this double top area, 124.48, back below, that's very negative for the pair. Now, what are we? We're only 140 pips away from that. That price can move that in a day on the pound dollar if it wants to. So, you know, by the end of the week, we could be below that level, or at least testing it if we are starting to get a shift down. So over the next week, that is the key level to watch. We move below that level, things don't look good for the pound. All right, so we're testing that weekly level. Day chart is showing you two rejections up there at 126.67, a minor low there at 125.83. Sorry, 125.77 is the exact number. 125.83 is at top. And today, you can see after yesterday's rush up rejection, we are now creating a downtrend down the 4 hour. So are we starting to make a shift downwards long term? It's a bit difficult to be in at the moment when if you're just getting in with the interest rates, but there's a 4 hour top. We've already done the range for the day. We could do more of a range down, but we've done the average 5-day range at the moment. I will just be monitoring that range that we've created for the day. Does it come up to the 62, the 79% level after the news event? Bit of an imbalance in this area here. A couple of imbalances. I'm just going to join them up. Imbalance area there. So coming back up to the 62, filling in that imbalance we might see through the trading day before maybe another decline. I don't like to be selling right near the low of the day. So, for me to sell this pair at the moment, it would need to come up. I would need to see this retrace back up somewhere in that region. Do I start to see it falter and turn back down? Now, the pound yen, last week it hit major resistance. Monthly chart, this area up here. Weekly chart, there you see it. Weekly reversal, negative for this week. We're back down to weekly support, which we're holding on in short term, 169.27 from this top here. So we're filling up monthly, weekly resistance up here and maybe getting some short-term support on weekly support there. Are we seeing a long-term failure here? I mean, if the pound dollar is going to unravel to the downside, maybe the pound yen is topping out up there. We'll just have to wait for some more time to come in the chart. The daily potentially here is putting in a lower top. All right. And interestingly enough, it actually topped yesterday at last month's high. I've taught the importance of monthly highs and lows. All right. That candle there is last month's high. That top there, false broke it. 2 days there we false broke. So potentially now we've declined, had a bounce on some support levels, putting in a lower top here. Now it's asking the question, can it move below these levels of support? All right, there, that olive line is last month's high, which is just there. You can see yesterday we tagged it, rejected, changed its trend on the 4 hour chart. Now we might get a rally today, back up within that 4 hour decline. Drop it to 15. Just have to watch to see what the news brings. But if you get like a 62% retracement back up, 79% retracement back up. Bit of an imbalance still in here, very minor. 62 level over here. So I will, looking for a rally. This 169.27 levels weekly support. So, we're very close to that level at the moment. I'm no longer selling to support. So I'm always looking to, if we're going to go short with that reversal that we're seeing, look for a 4 hour rally back up, up to the 62, 79% levels. Do you start to see price fall to turn around? Can you see a setup to sell? All right, look to sell a rally. Don't be selling at the bottom of the move into support. All right. Now, price may only get up to the central pivot point in a very weak day. That's as high as it can get. So look for price to rally. Can you see a setup to sell? All right, getting to Euro pairs. I don't know about you, but this looks like it's slowly turning. It's a little bit like this, a massive cruise liner in a harbor. Can't just turn around on the spot like a tinny. It takes its time to turn around. All right. And if I just get rid of some lines in short term. Go to the weekly chart. We've been testing that level 110.33. I've been talking about that for weeks. A couple of people on YouTube have been telling me that I'm wrong about this topping out, that, it's in an uptrend. But that 110.33 has been fading there for 4 weeks. As well, we've only traded a couple of pips no more than about 10 pips above the 79% retracement level of last year's trading range. This could be the high of the year. I actually thought this was the high of the year. We got a good 500 pip decline approximately from that area. So if we are topping out here, that's why I was saying about getting ready with, if the dollar index moves up, we could be moving back down to test these lows if we are faltering here. Now this trend on the weekly is still up. That is a higher bottom, that is a higher top, but it's most definitely struggling above or at 110.33. Now it's struggling at 110. And the day trends, bit of a triple top affair up here. Early in the week, which was that day there, Monday. See how we tested 110.33 again to fail. That was your significant day where you should have gone, okay, I think it's failing at 110.33, because now we definitely have a lower bottom in play here. So we, if we can take out a couple of lows here, that's going to start to add a little bit of steam to this moving down. All right. So let's put a few lines back in. Just working out which ones I want left in. All right. So weekly high over here, that could be where we're moving down towards at the moment. That's at 107.36. Or we could be moving down to this weekly low at 105.16. But in the short term, just start to get to grips with the fact that it's changing trend to the downside. We're already down quite a lot for the day. Don't be selling at the bottom of the day. There's some support areas over here on the 4-hour chart as well, so we might get a bounce back up at least. And we've done the range for the day. All right, so there's a bit of imbalance as well through early London moving down. Imbalance starts just there. Actually, then there's the imbalance at the moment. So I'll be watching to see if price can come back up, maybe to the 62 area here. That will almost complete the balance. 109.73 is now day chart broken support. See how the imbalance started just underneath there. So that's where the market was asking itself here early in the day, is support going to hold once more from a day chart perspective? And then no, it can't, because that's where we got the imbalance. So we could come back up to that level, but expect that level to be resistance. So, if you want to get into a trade on the euro dollar in line with the trend, which is now down on the daily, look to sell a rally, okay? Higher up, in a perfect world now, I'd be monitoring for this to come back up into this area here. 109.73 would be the perfect level if it could get back there. I don't know whether it can get back there. We've also broke 109.42, which is day support, just a fraction below is last week's low. So we may only get up to that level now. All right, so 2 levels to watch. I would always watch the higher level, but the market will always be right. All right, let's hop over to the Aussie pairs. Aussie yen, put out on Tuesday, put it out in the webinar. Watch this 79% level. Put it out on our Telegram the next day. And you all had plenty of opportunity to get short that. Does anybody get short the Aussie yen this week? Anybody? It's also failing at the 79% of this range. So we could be moving down to support. And somebody's got their hand up, so it looks like at least somebody did. I know I did. And 2 of my colleagues at the office, although I'm not at the office, but I talked to the office, they got short as well. Now it is trading into an area of support at the moment. This top here, day top at 977, and a monthly support over here. So for it to continue down, it does need to negotiate this area. So it would be good to be at risk-free in case this area holds. But that was a nice 79% retracement failure there. Nice rejection at the top of the range the week before. Came back up to 79. there was 3 days of opportunity to get short at the 79 level or fraction short. All right, so hopefully that can move down. In the short term, I'm not really seeing another setup. You either should have been already short up there at 79, because now you're waiting for support to break. Support breaks. So moving forward over the next couple of days, we want to see this support area break, and then any intraday rallies should get capped then to that area to continue down. So if it can break support, watch that area to be resistance then, and then look for an opportunity to sell a rally in that area. Okay. Aussie dollar. I know loads of people who are thinking that we were maybe going above 68, breaking above, but it looks very much like we're not at the moment. Highlight that range for you on Tuesday. And did anybody trade at the top of the range? Anybody look to short at 68? I think I put that on Telegram on Tuesday. Look for a retest and failure at 68. Well, the retest came yesterday. All right, so can we move back down to the bottom of the range? There's always the possibility, the longer term trend on this pair, in general terms, the monthly chart here is down. So there's always the potential that whilst we're in this range, we could still break above 68 for sure. But if we're holding there, there's a potential for that to be a double top within the range. And there's a potential price action now. It can hold at the top to come down and break the bottom of the range. All right. And we get a move like so. So getting short, if it starts to keep its short bias, targeting, first of all, support, but then can support break? That's what I'll be looking at. Now, in the short term, this day chart top here, so we failed at last month's high. We've moved back below this day chart top that we're above. So I would now be looking at drawing a fib from that top to bottom. '62 level lines up almost with that 67.71 level. So price could rally back up to fail like so. All right, so I would be looking for a rally now to try to get set to trade down to support, and can that support level break? Are we forming now up there a double top? Now, whilst I'm showing that 67.71 level, there's still the possibility that you could draw your fib from the high. There's still the possibility that we get driven up across that range. And if we do, then of course, we're looking at the 79% level at 67.97. We could still come up from the test of 68, so 67.97 to 68. But the thing to watch at the moment would be now, 4-hour structure is a lower top to a further lower bottom. So watch that 4-hour structure at the moment for a move like that. In terms of engaging right now, the bias is to the downside. We have done the range for the day already. We could price cycle back up intraday at the moment. And certainly there is an imbalance there that could most definitely get filled through the trading day. It could come up to fill the imbalance before then moving down. So, if you're not short, look to the top of the imbalance for short. And you could also just be looking at, now that is the range I drew in. That is my fib range from the 4-hour chart. So if that imbalance can get filled, it could just pop up to that area that I was talking about, 67.71. All right, monitor that. If you're not short, look to sell a rally. Euro pound. Broken weekly, monthly support here. All I would be watching for is for price to come back up to look at that level to be now So there's a couple of lows here. The lowest low there, 87.22. I will just be watching for that level. $87.22. It could get up to last month's high there at $87.29. If you want to look to sell a rally, not selling at the bottom of the move. So whether or not this can happen, but I would be looking up to 87.22 to last month's low. To be broken support becomes new resistance for the next opportunity to sell a decline. Okay. Of course, when trading the euro pound, you want to look to see what the euro dollar is doing and the pound dollar is doing. Seemingly at the moment, the euro dollar is weaker than the pound dollar. So that's why we're seeing this break of support on the euro pound. So whilst you're seeing that same environment across those two pairs, we will get a rally. Can it rally to that area? Does it hold? Do you see is set up to sell? If you like to trade the euro pound. Euro yen. Now, when I was doing the webinar on Tuesday, this is where price was. And if you were with me, I said, watch 148.39 to 148.62 to be resistance. I said, when price was just coming underneath here, I said, I'd like it to move clearly below and then come up for a rally and fail. And of course, it's done that. I'll say, of course, I'm not saying that because I knew I was going to be right. I'm just saying that because that's what's happened. So that was the area to look in for your trade. At the moment, we're coming down to levels of support at the moment. So on the day chart, we have a weekly top here that we've just about touched. For sure, that's going to offer maybe some support and day support here. So, it's failed up here at the last area that could have been support. Has now become resistance. Now it's testing the next level of support. But you can see here on the day chart, it's lower top, lower bottom scenario now. And we discussed in one webinar the fact that we had this double bottom, which met the 200% price point. And since that price point got met, the trend's changed. So can the trend continue down? It's going to bounce off support and rally. So to the 4-hour chart at the moment, I would now be, if this area is going to break, it's probably going to bounce before it breaks. So I would be monitoring a corrective rally. 79% level would be great. It's just below your 148.39 level. So 79% levels at 148.26. Broken weekly support now, being resistance at 148.39. Can it come up and offer you a high rally for another move down? All right, don't go selling into support. All right, don't have this fear of missing out when you want to sell into support. That was a lovely rejection on the 15-minute chart here. Failure there on the 15-minute chart yesterday. There's your trend line break. There's your swing point break. And then it moves down. All right, can't go back in time. So I would be looking for a 62% or a 79% rally. Look at higher levels for failure now for another move down to test that support. Okay. All right, covered the euro dollar. What's the pound doing? It's getting a little bit of support at the moment. New Zealand yen. All right, the critical level. It is still holding on top of that weekly top there. We're in the 6.2 area of the bigger range, high to low. Let's get rid of that fib for the moment. So this weekly top here and this weekly top here is offering some support at the moment. So that, sorry, pressing the wrong buttons. This area of weekly resistance, just there. Now that we've moved above, it is offering some support here at the moment. However, pushed up, had an inside day, had an outside day, which was negative. Whilst there's a bit of support coming in there, I'm not that convinced that it is going to break down. So I'm just watching at the moment. Because the overall bigger range is there. And if you draw a fib, we're just kind of just a little bit above the 62 at the moment. To me, this is corrective of this whole move down. So if that's the case, I don't want to be buying maybe at the top of the corrective move, close to the 62 area. I'm just going to wait to see if it can break back below these weekly tops. And I've already seen structurally on the 4-hour chart that, you know, we've moved to a lower bottom. Well, we could, yes, trade back up a little bit higher, but we could be getting some kind of left shoulder head, right shoulder formation here. You know, if this came back up to the 79% level, if it could, and fails there, that would be a great area to look for a right shoulder to get yourself set to trade with the higher time frame trend. That monthly trend is down. All right. Looking for that kind of scenario if you wanted to get shorts. I don't know if you want to be getting long in that area personally. All right, or wait for a breakdown of the weekly levels before looking to trade. All right, New Zealand dollar, very similar to the Aussie. I did put this out today in Telegram. Excuse me one moment. All right, sorry about that. Thought I was going to sneeze. All right, so we have a double top here, a top here, traded a few pips above that top, but you can see at the moment on the day, and now you're saying head and shoulders trend usually means it's going down. Well, yeah, that's why I was highlighting that head and shoulder pattern there. It could be foretelling, yes, a move down. So, the top of the range could be that double top. Could be the top that we're testing today, which is last month's high. This is a very notable top as well. If you follow the monetary policy statements, the interest rate statements, this top, that day was when the Bank of New Zealand put interest rates up 50 basis points when we were expecting 25. It rushed up to that area and then sunk back down. So that's a very notable top. We traded 1 pip above it yesterday. We've traded today 4 pips above it, 4 or 5 pips above it, okay? And we're starting to sell off. Now, if we finish with a negative candle today, just from a simple day chart perspective, a break of that candlestick tomorrow could potentially at least confirm the top of the range. If not, like I was saying on the Aussie dollar, we could have a double top for a long-term decline. All right. Of course, we can break above, but at the moment, price action isn't telling us what we're breaking above. So if we finish with a negative candle today, breaking that candle will start to confirm the reversal. We need to move back below 63.14. So that's a definite level we need to watch. So if we start to reverse, 63.14 needs to break. That will be support as we move down, potentially. All right. Now, we may well still move back up for the retests. It would be nice if we could move down to a lower bottom, but wherever the bottom comes in, draw a fib, and we could see like a 79% retracement back up. We could hit the area once more, look for the potential of another reversal to start this movement down. Now, we might not rally. We might just have a very negative candle today. That low gets broken tomorrow, and then we move down. Very much like on the pound dollar. We had a rejection candle yesterday. It's broken the low today, and it's just traded down. All right, so maybe we having a failure up here now. And as I was saying at the start of the webinar, the US dollar is at the bottom of the range, maybe wanting to move up. Then, as I was saying, the New Zealand dollar could be at the top of the range, wanting to move back down to the bottom of the range. All right. And slowly saying today's move looks too negative not to have a bounce back up. Well, nothing goes up and down. Nothing goes up or down without, having a corrective move the other way. Sometimes it doesn't. Over here, it didn't have much of a rally, did it? It had this rally here, but it never got back up here. So it doesn't have to get back up. And, sometimes you end up missing out when you're waiting for that 79% area, and that's just trading. But logically, waiting for the rally is the most logical thing to do. You don't want to go, oh, right, let me just sell it at the low of today's move. Because then if it does rally, you're having to wear all that, reversal, which isn't nice. So sometimes when you're waiting for the rally, it doesn't come. That's just trading. But over the course of the year, if you're setting yourself up for retest, failure, rally, they often come around. It's like the Aussie, the Aussie yen. We hit March's high, we sold off. That's your retest rally, 79% retracement. There it is. Okay, you just have to. Trading's a game of patience. Sometimes it gives you what you're looking for. So if you're not already in, looking for that kind of scenario now, rally, retest, fail. And I explained that to you on the dollar CAD on Tuesday. I said that was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that was Tuesday. On Tuesday, I said, look for 79% retracement down here inside the rejection candle. All right. So we got fraction short of 133.01 weekly supports. And if you're just watching, it would have been, for a lot of traders, it would have been difficult because this was flying down because of the CPI news release. Come down to the 79% level. And now it's asking the question, can it move above daily resistance over here at 134.06? Now, as I said on Tuesday, these imbalances potentially need to be filled. So that was your most perfect level to look to trade. So just to map it out, that was the rejection up on Monday, giving you that rejection candle. Went up to Tuesday's high. In fact, no, they went up to, that was Tuesday's high just there. Wednesday got down to 79%. And just mapping out the swings to there. That was about 62% pullback, and then we're back up to the high there. So that was the most perfect 79% pullback within that rejection candle. So if you're seeing those rejection candles, let's just go back to the daily at support or rejecting at resistance. Price will often come back into the range of that rejection, and it often gets down to the 79% level. That was a perfect example. All right. So I'm anticipating we may be moving up to the top of the range. So this is just like the dollar index. Top of the range at the moment is up here at 136.64, which is last month's high, and it's also monthly resistance. All right, looking like we're moving up. So over the course of maybe the next couple of days, getting set for the opportunity for a trade now. We're a bit high up here at the moment, but it'd be nice if this could move up above 134.06 as a starting point, and then you see that pull back to be support, because at the moment you can see through the week resistance, maybe it's still resistance here. So we want to get above there. Can it become support? Then to move up. All right. Look for price action to start to work like that. All right. Dollar franc is trying to put a bottom in. It's horribly range bound at the moment. From a monthly perspective, it's very low at historical low areas. There's a monthly low there that we've been below 89.26, but we are above it as I'm talking. And on the weekly, there's a weekly low here. There's another monthly low here. We've been trying to, the week before we closed above, last week we closed below, maybe we're closing back above this low here, which is monthly support resistance, 89.26. So it's rather consolidatory. You can see it. Tried to move into an uptrend, then failed, back down to a lower bottom, lower top. Now it might be putting in a higher bottom here, but it's very range bound. I'd just be waiting for a possible reversal to the upside, but let's see a nice clear move and then look for a pullback. All right, at the moment, depending on what US news comes out, this could dip back below 89.26. So I would just be looking for nice impulsive move if we can above 90. All right, and then in an ideal world, pulls back to 90 for a higher bottom, holding above all these tops to move upward. Now, if we see a decline in the euro dollar, we're probably going to see that sort of price action on the dollar franc. But at the moment, this is very difficult price action. It could still break back down to the downside. So I just know that dollar franc's at very historical lower areas for the last 10, 20 years. I don't want to be selling at historical low areas in case we're bottoming out. So I'm just on the sidelines on that pair, looking for, can it give you a nice clean shift to the upside, and then look for a setup. All right, dollar yen. Now 135.16. I discussed that on Tuesday. Is that going to be resistance? It is. And this is, if you can learn something from tonight's webinar, if you're relatively new to trading, there's the historical high from 2002. It's been the reference point at the moment for resistance. Now, it's a bit unsure. I'm unsure in my mind at the moment which way this is going for the long term. We have a lower top, higher bottom. This could be an inverse head and shoulders. This could be a double top up here. Which side of the market is going to win out? Daily charts, we do maybe have a lower top forming here, but we have a higher bottom here. And it's stuck between monthly resistance and weekly support, weekly low over here from back in time. So if the US dollar is going to get stronger, then I would probably have to say it's going to move up. However, sometimes we can have a risk-off environment, and that's not the case. So it all depends what kind, if the US dollar strengthens, why is it strengthening so much? Does the stock market start to decline? Do we get a risk-off environment? So at the moment, I do know on the 4-hour chart, if I drop it down to the 4-hour chart, I can see areas of support. So let me just kind of highlight them in. There's a clear area of support here. And then there was a high level of support just there. And that's where we stopped at yesterday. So I would, as a trader, I would want to be looking to short at 135.16. We're not there. And potentially it could be a buy down here at 133.62. But anywhere in the middle, it's just in the middle. And slightly saying, I think that comment was on the New Zealand dollar, covered that. So this could simply have like a 79% retracement, which overlaps with your 135.16 level, and then hold to move down. All right, that would be my option. That would be, if I had to trade that pair only, my preferred option would be to look in that area. Trade down to support and probably expect this area of support to hold. Something fundamental would have to change, I think, to shift below that level at the moment. US dollar, the US dollar would have to break support on the dollar index, which at the moment it's not looking like it wants to do that. All right, but potentially it could. So yeah, you just have to look at the logical levels of trend, support and resistance. The logical level of trend there on the 4-hour chart is down. We might, as well, in the day chart, be putting in a lower top up here. So look to sell a rally. That would be the perfect level up there against all those 4-hour tops. Monthly resistance, 79% fib. All right, let's get into gold. I put out today the potential that, are we forming a monthly triple top, or weekly triple top up here? We rejected the historical high last week, big weekly rejection candle. Yesterday, we rejected the weekly top there at 2048. And breaking the low of yesterday is going to start to maybe confirm a lower top here. So breaking the low yesterday is at 2021 would potentially, start to create us the first lower top after rejecting that monthly double top area. So are we starting to see this happen over the next trading days? Breaking, I don't know if you've broken the low yet. Haven't broken the low yet. So look at the 4-hour chart. We've almost broken the low, but we haven't quite. There's a low. So of course, there's a bit of buying pressure coming in as we're almost breaking the low. The buyers are coming in at that level at the moment. But a break below yesterday's low is going to start to confirm a lower top. Sellers are going to see that. Do the sellers start to come in and start to move that down? Now, as you're saying, does a double triple top always then signify it's going down? Well, it's a pattern that generally signifies yes, but a pattern can always fail. But yeah, a double top, a triple top can well be the signal of price holding and then reversing. Slav, I know you like to trade gold. Are you looking at that? You got that on your radar? Just watching. I mean, if the US dollar starts to strengthen considerably, gold should decline. So I don't trade gold, but if I'm just looking at everything at the moment logically, we may be topping out there. All right, any more questions? Of course, tonight we've got the PPI data. It's difficult to take a trade ahead of that item. And of course, the UK interest rate decision let's just review that. UK interest rate decision in about an hour and 10 minutes. Then an hour and a half later, we've got the US core PPI data. We've already had quite a significant move down. Strange how the market went up following the CPI data. I didn't think the CPI data was really US dollar negative, particularly. Let's get to the figures. Here we go. In terms of the figures expected, CPI came in on print. Core PPI came in print. The yearly came 0.1 down. I mean, it's just 0.1. It's just fractions. The pairs to the US dollar rushed up for a while and then saw straight back down. And then we've followed through to the downside today. So it's going to be an interesting week ahead. Can the reversal continue? Yeah, that 0.1% Slav, and you're saying, so, and then that surge, I think that was, that surge would have been retail traders, trading, and then people panicking and covering their positions. I was short the Eurodollar at 110. Price was down here and I was short at 110. So it came back up to my entry. Which, I was grinding my teeth at the time. But now, I had to go to bed I went to bed round about here. And then, of course, I woke up and it started coming back up through Asia. So I was grinding my teeth a little bit more. But now it's looking a little bit happier. So I'm hoping now it's breaking down. But yeah, I mean, the Eurodollar didn't go up that much. It only went up 60 pips. I mean, the pound did go to a fresh high. what we have been having with the CPI data is that we've been having 100 pip range on the 50-minute candle in previous months' data releases. So I guess things are getting a little bit less volatile on the release at the moment, but it's still volatile. Like I was saying, if you're not in a trade where you've got some room to manage the volatility, it's very difficult just to click in and then weather volatility. All right, so be aware of those two news items coming out. Hopefully, maybe they continue with the way of the trend that we've been starting to see unfold over the last 24 hours. This euro has not got much buying pressure here at the moment. Pound dollar doesn't seem to have a lot of buying pressure either. What's the Aussie doing? Look for those rallies, but maybe those rallies won't come. It's always difficult if you're not in and you're seeing things move down, that you go, okay, I'm going to miss out. Price will give a rally at some point. Look for a rally. If these trends are starting to continue down, look for a rally. All right. Don't have a fear of missing out. And you're hoping to sell some sort of rally on the pound. Yeah, me too. I'm hoping to get short the pound. And, add some really lovely, when price shoots up like this, and this shot up to the weekly resistance level, there's an imbalance there that needs to get filled. And all those movements up, the imbalances just got filled directly afterwards. It was quite a nice thing that occurred. All right, so watch the dollar index. It would be by the end of the week, if we are above this top, where's last week's high? That's there. That's last week's high up there. If we can see a nice move like so over the next couple of days above that high, then we could well be moving up to top of the range. Right, so you got short yesterday, and then now you're waiting for the Bank of England news. Well, hopefully it doesn't drop after the Bank of England news, and then you will be gnashing your teeth. But hopefully it will give a rally. I mean, if on the pound here, if we're going to see a significant decline, if we are getting a change, we're definitely getting a minor change at the moment on that day chart there. Even if we have to wait to get back below 124.48, and this low down here is at 118.03, that weekly support where we've moved up from, still plenty of pips to make. It would be great if this is a major reversal top. Might not be, but we are high up within the range, the range of last year. So it is in that area where we could put in the high of the year. I actually thought we put the high in the year back here, but clearly we haven't. So, and we could still trade all the way back up. It's early days, but the day chart is just giving a little bit of a sniff of a change there in the short term. Then we'll have to wait and see, can we move below these double tops? Moving below those double tops certainly gives weight to the equation that we might see a yearly top up there, but we'll just have to wait and see how things can unfold. I mean, over the next couple of trading days, this area of support, 125.83, that could be, over the next 2 or 3 trading days, if we move below, that would then be an area to watch to sell on a rally. All right, so there's going to be hopefully plenty of opportunity to get short if we start to move down. Bit of an imbalance I can see in here that maybe needs to be filled as well. Bit of an imbalance over here. All right, so we'll just have to wait and see. All right, everybody, hopefully you got some levels there that you can work with, some trend determination that you can start to think about as we move forward for the next few trading days. Right, with that in mind, next week, next Tuesday, we've got more webinars coming up next Tuesday. Let me just refresh my page. So that's next Tuesday, the 16th. 17th is education. We're going to talk about support and resistance. And then more analysis next Thursday. All right, so next Tuesday is the next webinar at 7 p.m. If you want to join me, simply come over to this page and register your interest, and I'll see you then. All right, other than that, have a great rest of the trading week. Have a great weekend. Stay safe wherever you are. Thanks for your attendance as always. All right, look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.